Good morning, Year 1, and welcome to the second day of our English lessons. So today we're again looking at non-sequential texts, and today we're actually going to have a first look at the text we're going to be studying and in writing and adding to in this last 2 weeks' work. So before you do that though, we've got a grammar lesson to start. So get your whiteboards and whiteboard pens, and when you're ready, we'll get going. Okay, so again we're looking at conjunctions in our work. So, to use conjunctions with time. Conjunctions are used to link sentences. Over the last 2 days, we've been starting to use some of the conjunctions for time. Can you remember what those were? When, while, after, before, and during. Today, we're going to learn some new conjunctions. Until, although, unless, since, and once. So, for example, we played in the lake until we got cold, or we played in the lake although we got cold. So here's another picture. I want you to write sentences using one or more of these conjunctions. You can write as many sentences as you want to. Okay, and I've given you some additional vocabulary which should help you with these sentences. And once you've done that, we'll get on to the main part of the learning. Okay, so last week we read a story about Goat and Donkey in the Great Outdoors, and they talked about some of the different places you could go. Now this is the cover of a book that's been written for Year 1, and it's an example of a place you might go in the Great Outdoors. What I want you to do now is write down everything you can think of, what kind of places, what kind of things you might do, anything you know about the great outdoors. And the great outdoors at the moment is the kind of place you go on your daily exercise. So have a think about what you know and write sentences describing the great outdoors. So you could have a sentence like, the great outdoors consists of places like mountains. Forests are part of the great outdoors. Do you see what I'm doing? So have a think about as many different sentences as you can and write them down about what you know already about the great outdoors. And that's the first part of the lesson. So grown-ups, pause the video now, and then I'm going to show you the second part of the lesson, which is to do with asking questions in just a moment. Okay, so the second part of the lesson, the second task, is to write questions about what you want to learn about the great outdoors. Now, obviously, you may not know what you want to learn, so I've included the contents page here of the booklet. So you might want to ask some questions about any of these bullet points. So for example, you could say, what kind of things can you do in woods and forest? What's a log cabin? So think about using those question hands from yesterday. Think about the different question starts and have a think about what you'd like to find out about the great outdoors. Okay, so that's the end of today's lesson. But bear in mind, you want to keep these questions because as we go through our book, hopefully you're going to be able to answer these questions at the end of this week's work. Okay, so well done Year 1, brilliant day's lesson, and we'll have another one along for you tomorrow.